For perspective, that comes out to be just over one memorable month out of an entire year, or 1 year out of a decade. It makes you wonder what happened to all the other days, right? It's like there's some amnesia pandemic stealthily afflicting millions of people, robbing us days of our lives. We should be alarmed by this, freaked out. But instead, we brush it off as normal. Maybe we say something like, gosh, where did the week go? Is it Friday already? Boy, the summer just flew by. Hey, how is it New Year's already? Next thing you know, you're 40. Where did the time go? Right? Well, I was freaked out because it happened way too many times that I can't even remember what I ate for lunch the day before. So we reached out to the think tank's neuroscientists at Emory Medical Center to help us sort this out. And sure enough, there's now scientific evidence for what the problem is and how do we solve it. So why do you think it's so easy for one day to blur into the next? I used to just chalk it up to old age, right? Well, I was wrong. It turns out an aging physiology has almost nothing to do with it. The real problem is that over time, we develop a more ingrained routine with fewer novel experiences. But think about it, we wake up at the same time, we drive the same commute, work in the same office building, talk to the same people, eat the same thing for lunch, watch the same thing on TV, and do it all again the next day. This equates to most people doing roughly 90% the same thing from one day to the next. And 50% of that is considered completely mindless routine, a cognitive autopilot. And we're all guilty of this. We do this way too much. The ramifications of this cognitive autopilot are more severe than just an outdated hairstyle. No offense, by the way. A routine-based lifestyle is actually linked to tragic levels of global unhappiness, disengagement at work. And according to a 25-year study at the University of London, you're 40% more likely to die early. Wow. Gives new meaning to the phrase bored to death, right? So how do we solve this? Change our experiences. Intentionally innovate on our everyday life experiences. So whether that's parting your hair on the right side or instead of the left side, or taking the scenic route home instead of the normal commute, or going to a restaurant and ordering a surprise instead of the usual. Maybe it's wearing fun socks instead of business socks. Maybe it's starting off your talk with a break dancer. These are the experiences that stretch us, that stimulate our senses, that disengage that cognitive autopilot. And using EEGs and fMRI brain scans, we're able to see that these are the experiences that activate the hippocampus and frontal cortex, releasing dopamine, forging neurotransmitter connections and new synapse formations. In other words, these are the experiences we remember. And with each new memorable experience, there's a value gained, an added richness to life that we now refer to as life profit. So this was that big idea for us, that aha moment that totally flipped our perception of innovation and actually life overall. So whereas financial profit relates to a monetary value you gain, life profit measures the incremental value of a memorable experience. So for example, there's some intrinsic value with doing something that you would ordinarily do. Let's say watching TV after work at home. Now, what you could alternatively do in that same situation is perhaps, I don't know, teach your kid how to fly a kite. The incremental richness of that memorable experience is life profit. And this idea of, everyday life enrichment had become a new measure of success for leadership at P&G and other brands as well. And as we dug into it deeper, we realized that we had uncovered evidence of an underground social movement, an uprising against the ordinary, a revolt against routine, people just doing epic and everyday acts to save the day from being lost. And this had been guiding trends across business and education and lifestyle and consumption. And yet, the more time I spent with this idea, the more I realized that the idea behind this movement isn't novel. Because the life profit approach to breaking the mold of routine has actually been the common trait of history's great innovators and change agents. And whether it's Rosa Parks choosing to sit in one seat instead of another, or Richard Branson wearing a spacesuit instead of a dress suit. These iconic figures, they lived by a different measure of success, a different focus than the rest of us. We just think about it. Where's our focus, right? On a personal level, we got our bank statements, we got our credit card statements, our credit reports, our financial advisors, all helping us understand our exact financial position and how do we optimize it. But how much life profit have we gained? And who's helping us with that? Now, on our businesses, we track our sales, our likes, our impressions, our tweets, our pins, you name it. But how much life profit have we generated? For our consumers, for our employees, for the community. But wait, isn't that supposed to be like our whole brand purpose, to enrich people's real life experiences, not just talk about it? Well, maybe it should be more of our focus, now that over 80% of millennials prefer experiences over stuff. Wow. What does that mean for companies that sell stuff? It means that consumers no longer care whether they buy the blue energy drink or the red energy drink, but whichever one gives them wings. And there's now a new movement taking place of brands understanding this and using this to win in market. And perhaps one of my favorite examples comes from Zappos. So I used to think of them as a stuff company, right? They sell shoes. And one afternoon, I had called up the company with a question about a pair of running shoes that I saw on their website. And instead of trying to sell me on a pair, the rep signed me up for a mud run that she found in my town. This rep converted an otherwise ordinary weekend into an experience I will never forget. I can still taste the mud in between my teeth. Zappos helped me live a memorable life, and that is infinitely more valuable than any television commercial or line extension or social media post. What a huge opportunity for brands to be a hero, to literally help consumers save the days of their lives from being forgotten, lost forever. And it's this focus, this innovating on the human experience that generates a wealth of life profit.